Hi and welcome to Rossi Audio again, another video, and this video is going to be way different than all the other videos that I have ever made and ever put out. Normally I talk to you guys about hi-fi, vintage audio, new audio, speakers, amplifiers, and stuff like that. Today, however, I'm going to talk about and feature a very special item that I have, and how I got it, and it is for sale. It is also listed on eBay and on Reverb, and let me take it out for you. We have here a bass guitar. Pretty cool axe. What is so special about this one, you might ask? Well, first of all, this is a one-off. It's a custom-built bass. It is from 1980-81. It's built from Kona wood, two-tone Kona wood from Hawaii. It has the original version 1 badass bridge. It has 4 pickups that is off-axis. It has neck through for the body, and groover tuners, and it's either abalone or mother of pearl inlays on the fretboard. And is it in mint condition? No, it has been used and has been played, so it would benefit to see a luthier for some, maybe some going over the electronics inside, clean it up, maybe do some modification on it, or at least fix maybe a little bit on it. It works. It's not a problem. And it has on the side here, it has a white piece right here, about 4 inches that are off, but that can be changed. I talked to a luthier and he said that wouldn't be a problem to fix. So it's minor cosmetic things. So what is special about this bass, beside being a one-off? If you can't find a lot of these online. The brand is Lakefront. It says Lakefront on the head. So when I got this bass, because I'm a few days a month, I go out and I buy storage units that goes up for auction. That's how I find a lot of vintage audio. And I got this one unit back in June, and I got it for $310. And I didn't see this guitar right off the bat when I looked at the unit, because you can't go in it. You can only watch it from the door. You've seen it on the TV shows online, Storage Wars. That's what I'm talking about. But when I bid on the unit, and the reason I bought the unit was because it had a brand new Yamaha 32-channel mixing table in box, laying on top of a dresser right there in the front. And it had some speakers, some vintage speakers, and it had some vintage stereo in there. Nothing fancy. The speakers were Sanyo, and the vintage audio was Sound Design. But the combination of what I saw, Yamaha brand new mixer in box, never been opened, I still have it. I haven't decided if I want to sell it or not. Combined with that and the speakers and the vintage audio, and there was a lot of records, cassette tapes, CDs, and there was some newer speakers in boxes in the back, and nothing fancy there either. So the whole, and there was a lot of boxes in the back, so the whole thing spoke to me, and it told me, you should go for this one. So I did. And when I started moving some furniture on one side around, and moving some boxes around, in the back corner, on a guitar stand, this one was. And I didn't think much about it. I walked up to it, and I got it out, and I looked at it, and it says Lakefront. So what I did was, okay, when I was done that day, I went back into my truck and I sat down and I pulled out my phone and I started Google lakefront, and I couldn't find much. I went on eBay, I couldn't find anything. So I sat on it for about a month before I did anything to it. So I put it, I was like, I called a couple of guitar stores, and they told me that, well, it must be custom made. That's what they told me. All of them said it must be custom made. And based on that, I asked them, well, how about the value? What do you think this is valued at? And everyone was like, well, anywhere between $600 and $1,500. That's what most of them said, without knowing the history behind it. And so I put it on eBay, and I did a bold move because I didn't know too much about it. And in my mind, when I find things like this, I'm thinking, what if it's something special? You know, you never know. So I put it out there for $3,999 on eBay, and instantly I got, like, I think it was 6 or 7 watchers within a couple of hours. And then a light bulb went off that this is not normal. Here we have for me, what was an unknown brand that I couldn't find anything about, and I put it out there for $3,900, and all of a sudden, within 2 hours, I had a couple of handful of watchers. That told me that maybe I'm sitting on something here. So what I did, I ended my listing on eBay because I was afraid that this would sell, and I didn't want to sell it unless I knew the background and the story on it. I'm a little bit anal that way. If I see something that is special that I haven't seen before, I have this thought that I'm not going to sell it until I find everything that I can, and I don't give up. So the day after that I deleted my listing on eBay, some guy messaged me and said, why did you end your listing? And I told him, I don't know anything about it, but certain things triggered my inner voice to say, hey, you might have something here, so stop it. Then he goes on to tell me that he knows the guy who built this basses, and he said, you might want to go to this, and he gave me a web link, this site. And for some reason, when I googled it, and I mean I googled this, and it did not come up. I went through like 48 pages, because when I did Lakefront, there was 48 or 58 pages on Google, and there was everything else that had the name Lakefront except for a bass, or maybe I overlooked it. But he said, go here, because this is a friend of mine who built this back in the 80s. So I go to the link that he provided me, and sure enough, there is a guy, and he's a musician now, he's a songwriter now, and he doesn't build guitars or basses anymore. His name is Paul Adams, and he's well known in the jazz community. And what I learned from going to that page was he built these types of basses between 78, 79 and 83, and they're all one-offs. I see, when I went down there, I saw pictures of, call them brothers and sisters of this one, who looks almost the same, like the coloring wise of the wood, but it didn't have this little lip down here. They were different shapes, but they looked the same with the wood and the color, but they had different shapes on the body. So that told me, okay, he built quite a few, and he built them with different designs. And by reading more on this website, I learned that he built basses for the Stevie Wonder Band, Hall & Oates, and a lot of other musicians back in the 70s and 80s. So we never know who he built this one for. This one might as well have been built for Hall & Oates or one member of Stevie Wonder band or some other musicians who later on down the road sold it to someone else who maybe sold it again, and it maybe have changed hands several times. Who knows? So this web page that I was on had a lot of information about what he's currently doing. I'm talking about Paul Adams now. And there was this little button up in the corner saying contact or contact us or something like that. So I clicked on it, and what came up was a Facebook page was one of them, a Facebook profile for Paul Adams. So I went on his Facebook, and I learned a lot about what he's doing right now: writing music, recording music, publishing music. And so I sent him a message via Facebook, and it took about a week or two, maybe two to 3 weeks, and I got a response. He answered me back, and he said, yes, that's one of my builds. And he said, oh my God, that is so cool. He also said, oh, it looks like it had a rough life. And it, of course, it's not in mint condition, but it can be put back into very good condition. And so I responded to his message that he sent me, and another week or two went by. He's probably a very busy man, and he said, I can't remember exactly the year I built it, but he said 81. So that's what I base it off of. So I have, by doing that, I got documentation that this is legit. This is a custom built by Paul Adams. So I now have very, very strong provenance on this bass. That means the value just went up. So I relisted it on Reverb and eBay. This time I relisted it for $12,999. And I think that is a very, very fair price when you compare it to other models and other things. Because what you have here is a one-off, custom-made by a very, I want to say, a very famous guy who have built instruments and basses for some very big bands and artists like the Stevie Wonder Band, Hall & Oates, and several others. The wood that was used is top-notch wood. The bridge was not cheap back in the day, and you can get badass. It says badass. But this is the first edition badass bridge, and they sell for quite a bit of money by themselves used. And I'm not sure what kind of pickups that he have used here, but just the craftsmanship on this guitar bass is awesome. So if you're looking for a one-of-a-kind, special built, custom built bass that no one else have, that is built by a famous guy who is a luthier and a music writer and a recording artist, and who has built basses for big bands and big artists, this might have been in some of these artists' hands. So I might be holding something that was used in the Stevie Wonder Band, or used by Hall & Oates, or used by some other artist. Who knows? That's the unknown about it. So if you are in the market for a special bass, then I have one for you right here. And the price is firm, $12,999.99. Not a cent less. I'll rather keep it than selling it for less than that. Because this is one of the more special finds and the more valuable finds, single item, that I have ever found in a storage unit. I have had storage units where altogether was worth more, like the one in Oklahoma City that was full of Altec lancing equipment, 10 by 30, full of Altec lancing that used to belong to an former Altec lancing engineer. And I also got a unit in Atlanta that used to be a recording studio that went out of business, and they put all their equipment in a storage unit. I got that one too. That's the one I got the 2 Cerwin Vega L36PE from. I also got a mixing table and a lot of reel-to-reels and all kinds of stuff. But this is probably the coolest single item that I have found in a storage unit, and I found it in Memphis. I didn't have to go out of town to get it. If I'm going to estimate what it will cost to put it back to a very good condition, having a luthier do the job, I'll probably say if you spend $500-600 on it, to like, because it has some scratches and nicks on the body. So if you sand it and maybe stain it, restain it or re-oil it and stuff like that, and you fix this little white, I think it's ivory maybe, because it's so old, so maybe ivory was legal back then. So if it has a little thing missing here, so you can get that fixed and just do a service on the electronics inside and clean the pods and clean all the electronics. I think that's what you need to do, and have a general cleaning of the pickup and the bridge, and put some new strings on it, of course. And maybe you have to do some fret work. Maybe not, maybe. You might do some fret work. So let's say somewhere between $600 and $1,000, this one will be back to like extremely good condition. So that was what I want to talk to you about today. I also have, like I said, if I can't sell it for that price, I keep it because I collect these things. Over here I have another thing. This is a guitar. This is a Schecter Whoop. It's the Diamond series, Gryphon. And this one is in very, very nice condition. The reason I bought this, I bought it off of Craigslist. This was nice. There's one little chip right there, but that's it. Needs a tuning. But I'm gonna get myself an amp, and I'm gonna start playing guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. I know how to play drums, because I played drums as a kid in a marching band, and I took some drum lessons back then. But I have never taken any guitar lessons. But I want to learn. So I think I have a little thing for instruments. I have had quite a few up through the years, buying and selling them. This is like a different video than what you normally see from me. But I love this blood red, tiger striped coloring on it. And Schecter to me is one of the better ones, together with PRS. I'm not a big fan of Gibson. They have shitty guitars. Very shitty guitars. They don't know how to build guitars. A lot of people adore them, but I find them to be really, really bad. Fender, Schecter, and PRS are for me the guitars that I have been around, that I have felt has the best quality, and the ones that I have heard played that sounds the best. So I'm going to start learning how to play this little puppy soon. I bought it like 2 years ago, and the guy was kind of desperate. He wanted $175 for it, and I was like, that was not a blood price at all. It was going, probably back then it was the going rate on it. But he was so desperate. So when I started to hesitate and say, yeah, let me think about it, he said, well, I can throw in a bag. So I got a gig bag, and I said, well, That's like a gig bag is like $29.99 or something like that. So that's not a big thing, but so he went down to 140. So I just, okay, I'll take it. So when I come across instruments like this, I keep them for a while. Some of them have been hanging on my walls. I have them on guitar stands, and after a while I sell them, and then I get some new ones later on. It's not like I'm actively buying them, but I'll look online, and if I see a good deal that I know I can make money on, because these are instruments, to me is not so much like the audio thing. I buy the audio because I collect it. I buy these because I like them. They're cool decoration pieces, and then that's why I buy them, and because I can flip them and make money on them. So if I see desperate people online like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or other places selling guitars and guitar amplifiers for way below or a little bit below market price, I contact them and I give them an offer, and sometimes they accept and sometimes they don't. When they accept it, I buy it, and then I sit on it for a little while. I clean them. That's as much as I do. I don't do anything to guitars except for cleaning. All I do is clean. And it's not a special way of cleaning. You don't want to use any. All I use is water, basically. All I use is water. And Q-tips, water, and paper, and I get into nicks and crannies, and I use compressed air to get air out of nicks and cracks and all that stuff. But and then I sell them, and I make a little bit of money on it, but it's not going to make you rich, unless you are one of my friends that do these storage auctions with me, who bought a storage auction half an hour away from here, down in Horn Lake, Mississippi. He got a unit, and it had a 1958 Fender Sunburst in there, and he didn't know anything about it, and this was before he before he knew me. We kind of knew each other. We said hello to each other at auctions, but we didn't have any contact like we do now. And he didn't know that I was into instruments, and my knowledge of instruments is fairly good. Both when it comes to year, models, value, and all that stuff. I have read my things and I have studied it, so I know what I'm talking about when that comes down to it. And he got this 58 Fender Sunburst, and the Sunburst ones are not that common, especially from the 50s. So he hooked up with another guy who said, "Oh, I can help you." And I guess he did an honest attempt to help. He filled out a form online with Gruen in Nashville, and got like an appraisal. And I think they appraised it at $7,500, $8,000, something like that. But you have to remember, when you do these appraisals online, it's not going to be market value. It's going to be the value that that company is willing to give you and pay you for it. He got the valuation from that. He then went on a road trip and took that guitar with him up to New York. I don't know which store he went to, but he went to a guitar store in New York, and they offered him, I think it was $8,200, which is fairly good because he only paid $125 for that unit, so he made good money. But he was taken advantage of, because what happened was, a month and a half later, that guitar ended up online for $23,000. So that is why I did what I did with that one. So when it comes to these appraisal things, and when it comes to valuable items, you can't trust anyone. I mean, they said to him up there, "This is what it's worth. We can get 10 grand for this guitar. We're willing to give you right about 8. And of course, he paid like $125 for the unit, so why wouldn't he take it? But if he had known that that guitar would end up online later, a month and a half later, for $23,000. I think it was $23,460 it was listed for. And it sold for $22,750, I think it was. This is about a year and a half ago. Year and a half ago, I think it is. Might be wrong, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe 2 years ago, because it was right before I got sick. So it's probably 2 years ago. And so that's why, like I said, I put that online for $3,900. And when the interest started popping up right away, then I knew that, oh, put the brakes on there. So that's why I did what I did. So yeah, I do instruments as well, guys. Not only speakers and amps, but I do instruments. Right now I'm down to these two and couple other guitars. I had to sell it because it took up too much room. I had like 6 drum kits, everything from Tama to some vintage 1972 Sonar from Germany. I sold that for about 3 years ago or so. So I do drums, I do guitars, I do basses. I sold a violin not too long ago, and I still have another violin right here that is from Caspar di Salo, 1590, from the 1500s, and from 1590, and I have that one for sale for right below $4,000. I have pianos, so I have a lot of equipment, not only vintage stereo and pro audio and car audio, but I have instruments as well. Everything from pianos, violins, guitars, drums, basses, you name it. I even have had saxophones and flutes and yeah, all kinds of stuff. I'm into all of it. So that was the video for today. I hope you liked it. Have a nice day. Oh, by the way, get your t-shirt. I have just a few left.